Hey, Lexi. Lexi? Lexi. Huh, she's not here. Well, maybe this would be the perfect opportunity to do that 80s and 90s Kids podcast I've wanted to do. And I know the perfect co-host. So let's get the conversation started. Hello and welcome to LexiCon. It is Matty. Rolling solo, at least for the moment, until I bring in...
Casey.
That's right, you've heard her on some episodes of the podcast, but today she is the official co-host, as this is technically an episode of LexiCon, but also maybe a pilot for another podcast I've been considering doing. Something in the vein of 80s and 90s Kids, because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. Casey did as well, so I thought it'd be fun to share reminiscences of those two decades. So, of course, Lexi and Dylan are just a little under the weather. Hopefully they'll be back in time for the next episode, but we wanted to get an episode out because we technically didn't miss a week. We've just adjusted our schedule because we wanted to fit it in with the holidays coming up at the end of the year. And, of course, the Comic-Con we're presenting in November 16th in Clemmons, North Carolina at the Village Inn from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. LexiCon Comic-Con. Free admission coming out. Support all the great vendors. And we had another episode planned for today, but with Alex and Dylan falling under the weather, we had to call an audible. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I want to do a podcast talking about growing up as an... people call themselves 80s kids, 90s kids. I've always felt like I'm both. I was born in 1979. I grew up through the 80s. I really came of age in the 90s, but I'm both. I'm not an 80s kid or a 90s kid. I'm sure you feel very much the same way. You were born a year after me, but you grew up in basically the same time period, so you wouldn't really be an 80s or a 90s kid. I think we're both. Maybe we could call ourselves 8090 kids. I don't know. We'll work on the title, but anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Alex and Dylan don't have COVID, fortunately. Not really sure what they have, probably just a bad cold or something, but of course COVID is still out there, so please make sure you mask up, get vaccinated. And hey, those masks work to protect from a lot of diseases besides COVID. There's a lot of diseases out there, so protect yourself, protect others, wear a mask, and hopefully Alex and Dylan will be back on the next episode. Unless you're not a big fan of Alex and Dylan, so I guess it's not hopefully in that case, but why are you listening to this show if you're not? Because they're easily like 2/5 of the show. I mean, to be fair, I do most of the talking. Hopefully I won't do most of the talking on this episode, though. Hopefully you're going to have a lot to say. And you're just proving that theory right away. But we should be back on a regular schedule now. Every other Sunday, we should have a new episode for you. Starting with this one. And like I said, this is sort of a proto-pilot for a podcast I've wanted to do with you for a long time. 80s, 90s kids. And if we go forward and do more episodes, we can always, we can watch shows that maybe that I like that you didn't see and talk about and cover all kinds of topics. But I thought today we'd just sort of, go off the top of the head and speak extemporaneously about whatever comes to our mind about growing up during these times. I imagine you and I had fairly similar experiences growing up. Again, we grew up in the same country in basically the same time period. But there were differences as well. You grew up in the Northeast United States. I grew up in the Southeast United States. I'm a boy, you're a girl, for whatever that's worth societally. I think we grew up in fairly similar socioeconomic circumstances. I mean, maybe given times during our lives, our families might have had a little more money or a little less money, but I don't think either one of us were ever truly dirt poor nor filthy rich. So
speak for yourself.
Well, we can get into that, but I'm saying in general, we would have had similar experiences, but any two individuals are going to have different experiences, even in the same general region or area. And like I said, because of those differences that I've already mentioned, I'm sure there were, and like I say, even in the 80s and 90s, the big TV show was getting 30 million people watching it. That's still, what, a tenth of the population? So obviously there's nothing that's that all-encompassing. So there's going to be things that I enjoy that you missed out on and vice versa. But that's kind of what we're going to get into. I remember in the 80s, I used to go to the movies a lot. It was a family thing. I wasn't going and getting dropped off. In fact, I don't think I went to a movie without my parents until like 89, because that would have been, my friends and I were supposed to go see Batman 89, but the theater was so packed we couldn't find seats together. So we got rain checks and we went back the next day with my dad. But then we went to see, did my dad go to see Ghostbusters 2 with us? It might not be until 92 when I went to see Batman Returns that I went to a movie without my parents. I know me and two of my friends went to, because we got there really early. Mm-hmm. High five.
The light is reflecting off of the...
Oh, off the tinsel on my shelf?
The garland or whatever.
The garland,
and it kind of, because of the way it was reflecting, it was...
Yeah, we put it up on the shelves for Christmas a couple years ago, and it just looked nice, so I never took it down. It's just part of the background here now in the studio.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll talk about our...
No, we're talking about... Come on. This isn't supposed to be...
Okay, go ahead.
It's not supposed to be that... Well, no, you're welcome to chime in as well on the subject at hand.
We were talking about tinsel or whatever and how it was blinding me. So I was going to...
And you said something about... It was Garland, so...
Yeah. And how it's been up for several years.
And I don't mean the first boss of Final Fantasy either, so...
So I was just going to comment about how, we haven't taken our Christmas tree down, and here it is October.
Nobody needs to know that. And it's in the corner. It's out of the way. It's just part of the decor in here now. It doesn't block the microphone or the screen.
I think we should decorate it for every holiday.
Yeah, but that takes so much effort.
Halloween. I don't know how we do Thanksgiving. Maybe we should just do a fall theme with
Put a turkey on top.
with, pumpkins and ghosts, and then... some turkeys or whatever. And then, of course, we'll decorate it for Christmas. And it will still be decorated for New Year's because Christmas and New Year's just go together. Maybe hearts and stuff for Valentine's.
Shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, shamrocks, leprechauns, rainbows.
Was that something you did in the 80s or the 90s? Did you have an all-holiday tree?
Not personally at home, but I remember a teacher doing that in school.
I remember discussing it with my mom, but I think that would have been late into the 90s by the time and I don't think we ever actually did it.
And I think I've seen, a lot of people, around the neighborhood, their trees outside would hang stuff for different holidays.
Oh, man, when I was a kid, of course, we had the Christmas tree in the living room, the big family tree. It was always a live tree. We'd go out and get a tree. But then I couldn't even say when for sure, but starting by the late 80s, probably at the latest, my mom and dad gave me what had been their Christmas tree, when they first got together. And it was a little artificial 4 feet tall tree. And this had to be from the 70s probably, I'm assuming, because if they had it that far back. But it was the greatest artificial tree. It had a metal pole up through the middle, and it had plastic bark all down it, and they were little 1-inch tall pieces that you could slide off, and then every so often there'd be the one that would have the pegs for the branches to slide in, but it was all this heavy plastic. It was so much better than the artificial trees today, and it didn't have that, with the artificial, the foliage on it with that.
You could tell that they're artificial.
I mean, you could tell the tree was artificial
unless
too,
you go to.
But it was a nice.
Oh my God! What is that company that makes the Christmas trees? But they look real. It starts with a B.
I don't know.
Birch something maybe.
Big fucking trees. Badass fucking trees.
Yeah, they're $300-$400 for this little old tree, but they look so real. I swear that must have been what my grandparents bought, because I think their tree was artificial.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting you couldn't. You could tell this tree. You've seen pictures of it, I know.
Yeah.
I may have had it by the time. I would have still had it when I met you, I think. But it was.
I do know you had one.
It was on kind of its last legs by then, because I had already had to repair it once, and like I say, it was probably 20 plus years old by that point. But that was the best artificial tree ever, because you could tell it was artificial, but it was just in this nice heavyweight plastic. It held up. It just had a nicer look and feel to it than the modern artificial trees. But
I honestly could not tell you, because guess what? Not counting my grandparents, because I couldn't tell you if it was live or artificial. But I never had an artificial tree until I met you.
I didn't grow up. I had that one in my room, my personal tree, but the big one for the living room was always a real tree. And at my grandparents' house, it was always a real tree.
Yeah.
So that, and then, later in life, when it when I was pretty much grown, it was just me and my parents, that it was maybe we're not going to take the time to get the big tree. We'll just get an artificial tree. It was simpler. And I always had my personal tree to do whatever I wanted with, so.
Yeah. And putting trees in other rooms. I mean, now my grandparents, we had one on the middle floor and one in the basement, because my grandparents did Christmas Eve on 2 different floors. All the adult stuff was in the middle floor, and the kids' grandkids, whatnot stuff was in the basement area. Yeah, my grandparents had a 3-story house. It had a basement with an extra bedroom and the washroom and a spare bathroom. And then there was the middle floor that was the main living room and the kitchen. Then you went upstairs and there was the bedrooms and at least one other bathroom. I guess maybe my grandparents' bedroom had. a bathroom. But I couldn't tell you because I've never been in my grandparents' bedroom. In that house.
Interesting. When we would spend Christmas with my grandparents, we'd go there Christmas Eve and spend the night. I slept in my grandparents' room on the rollaway bed.
Yeah. Never slept at my grandparents' house at that house. I didn't start spending the night at my grandparents until they moved to the shore.
Like I said, we spent every Christmas, as far as I can remember. Obviously, when I was really tiny, I don't remember. And there may have been one year where we didn't do it, and I just misremember. But we would go there on Christmas Eve, spend the night, and have Christmas morning there, and then Christmas dinner. And then we'd go home, and we usually had like a stack of presents that we'd left at home under our tree, so we had something to do when we got home. And then I don't remember for sure when I started having the tree in my room. I know I had it by 1991 because I remember decorating it with like sports cards and stuff around that time. That's when I was getting into sports and sports cards. And I think I had it at least 1 year before that because I remember going to like one of the local drugstores. We had Eckerd and Revco.
Yeah.
Revco was the precursor to CVS. And I don't know who, Walgreens or somebody might have bought out Eckerd, but I know you're familiar with Eckerd. I know it's still around.
Yeah.
But we had the main shopping center. It was divided by, the highway there, and you had Piggly Wiggly on one side, Winn-Dixie on the other, and Piggly Wiggly had Revco beside it, and Winn-Dixie had Eckerd beside it. The shopping centers are still there. Piggly Wiggly's not even there anymore. It's a Walmart grocery store now.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
And then Winn-Dixie's become an IGA.
Is that where what Winn-Dixie is? Is an IGA?
Yeah, Winn-Dixie was an IGA before we moved from there too.
I thought the Piggly Wiggly was the IGA and the Winn-Dixie.
Piggly Wiggly was actually Ingles when we first moved there. I mean, I was born there, but when my parents first moved there in the first 10 years, probably not even 10 years, but long enough that I remember it being in Ingles, and then Piggly Wiggly took it over, and then Winn-Dixie was across the street, and then in like the late 90s or early 2000s maybe even, IGA took over. Because Lex-see, I think it was still Winn-Dixie by the time Lex-see was born.
Yeah, it was still a Winn-Dixie.
But it wasn't long. But it wasn't long after that IGA bought it out. Because it was still IGA before we got married.
There was an IGA before we got married?
Yeah, because my grandfather was the one that brought IGA into the Carolinas, so that was kind of significant to me. And like some of the trucks there, you could still because his name was his company's name.
Yeah.
So his name is still on a lot of the trucks you'd see driving around. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, in fact,
maybe it was right after we got, sometime before we moved.
Yeah. I remember,
But
what you call
past
it,
the 80s
you guys
and 90s.
telling me, was it not your grandfather, your great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather. Still a grandfather, but yeah, great-grandfather.
What you call it, and stories and everything, and me and Alex, Lex-see, looked it up one time, and just the history of it and all, and, he sold it or whatever, and the new owners had initially kept the name, and then they sold it, and that company, changed the name for a while, but they recently, I think in, 2016 or 2017, they went back to the original name.
Yep, sold it because, as I understand it, he had daughters and no sons, and back then you didn't pass your companies on to your daughters. Different times, I guess.
I guess. I don't know.
But, back to our times, I remember before doing the sports cars on the tree, I remember going to the drugstore and getting a set of ornaments. Small ornaments. Mm-hmm. So it was a small tree, but that's a real core memory to me, being really excited. Oh, look at that set of ornaments. It's really neat. That's my set of ornaments for my tree. I was really excited about that. Those drugstores used to be a place of great amusement for me. I remember going to drugstores and getting Lego and all kinds of stuff from those stores. I mean, we had department stores too, but they were further into town, so it was quicker to run up to the drugstore, and if you're already going to the grocery store, you're right there.
Yeah.
So weird, the drugstore, I wonder if people of the current generation are like, the fuck do you mean the drugstore? Because even the part that, distributes the drugs it's a pharmacy.
Yeah.
But drugstore.
But it was always called a drugstore.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I say, by my time, it wasn't just, it was like a little department store almost. They had toys, they had other stuff, and they had a pharmacy too.
Yeah.
I mean, overpriced stuff, but, still.
Growing up.
That's where we'd always get our photos developed too, is the drugstore. I remember that's where we got film developed. I think Walmart and Kmart and those places had But again, they were further out from where I lived. The drugstores were closer, so that's where we could get our film developed.
I'm trying to think. In the small town area that I lived in, there might have been a drugstore, but I mean, you had to walk a good mile and a half to get to it.
You grew up in a fairly small town. I mean, I grew up in a small town, but I mean, it was
But like the big...
It wasn't like Mayberry small.
Oh yeah, no, this was like a mom and pop type drugstore where you got your medications, and of course, a lot of my medications weren't carried at the mom and pop drugstore. We had to go to...
Interesting.
What would you call them? A chain?
A chain store.
I had to think of the word. And I mean, that, like where the hospital and
Walgreens,
stuff is,
Rite
and
Aid,
all that,
Redfield,
yeah. I think it was a Rite Aid, maybe. But where the hospital and like that little... Maybe it was a McDonald's. I think it's a McDonald's, but it wasn't a McDonald's growing up.
You mean where you grew up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Roy Rogers.
I haven't been there in a long time.
And there was, across the street from Roy Rogers and the hospital, there was a pharmacy.
So I guess just for a greater frame of reference, too, if anyone's wondering, you grew up in southeast New Jersey or southwest New Jersey?
Southeast.
South New Jersey?
I grew up about 10 minutes from Philly.
So southwest New Jersey.
North, south, east, west, yeah.
Yeah. But southern New Jersey.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia, Camden area.
Yep.
For people who might know the region. I grew up in a little swamp inside in the middle of South Carolina.
The swamp.
About an hour from the capital.
In a swamp.
That's what that area is.
I know it's swampland. I understand.
Oh,
well, hello, Mira. Did you come to join the podcast? Nope, you see Daddy sitting for more than 5 minutes.
We always had pets growing up in the 80s and 90s. Did you have pets?
We had a golden retriever. Or a golden lab. I think she was a lab. Her name was Lady.
And we had dogs too. We had Princess and Barney, and the story was when I was a baby, Princess didn't want to let anybody get near me. She'd even like growl at my grandparents and stuff.
She was a protective kitty cat.
No, that's the dog, Princess.
Oh, the dog.
Princess and Barney were the dogs. We had Babaloo the cat, and then I had a cat named John Baker, named after the character from Chips, because Chips was my favorite show when I was a kid. Did you watch Chips?
Yes.
California Highway Patrol.
But back to the animals. I had Eddie and Lady.
I remember after John Baker, next cats I had were Spooky and Street Hawk. And Street Hawk was an all-black cat. He's the one who, when Hurricane Hugo came through, he went out. He was like, nah, I ain't afraid of it. And then came back after the storm was over. He's also the one that we saw in the backyard. There was a snake, and every time the snake would rise up, he'd just swat it back down. I'm like, what you gonna do? But he was named after an 80s TV show, Street Hawk. Do you remember that show?
No.
I remember its existence. I don't ever remember actually watching. I think the guy... Okay, you remember Knight Rider, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, Michael Knight and Kit. I think this was kind of like that, but it was a guy with a motorcycle.
Interesting.
Sounded really cool. Don't ever remember actually watching it, but the name Street Hawk struck me, so I named my black cat Street Hawk. And I don't really know why. Spooky was just... she was like a tortoiseshell. She's the one who would bring wild bullfrogs and different stuff in the house.
I have never had a pet do that.
Just her. I mean, I've had pets bring me stuff from in the house. They'll pick something up and bring it out to me like, hey, I brought you something. But as far as
yeah. Mira does that. She'll bring you freaking snack wrappers.
Actually going out and hunting stuff and bringing it home, she's the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, the Street Hawk name captured my imagination, but I don't ever really remember watching it. I don't even remember watching Knight Rider that much. Like, I remember it existing, and it would be on sometimes, but it wasn't like one of my favorites.
Oh my god! It was like it came on every week and whatnot, and me and my brother would sit down, like we knew. Oh, it comes on at this time, and we were at the TV.
Yeah, Knight Rider. I remember being on. I'm not saying I never watched it, but it wasn't something I was ever super excited for. It was like it's cool-ish. Like I didn't really feel like he did that much, honestly. Like, it's a cool car, but it doesn't transform or anything.
I don't care.
I had
no,
Transformers.
I loved the car and how it talked and.
I have a picture. I've got a picture of me sitting in Kid at a car show from when I was a kid.
We need Kid at our Comic-Con.
But yeah, like I said, I wasn't a huge Knight Rider fan. I mean, I was a bit... Like I said, I was a movie kid. I went to the movies a lot. And then, of course, this was the dawn of the VCR. When we had a VCR, so we'd watch stuff on tape. We didn't have cable when I don't think we got cable until like 89. And it wasn't like we just did, it just wasn't available in our area because we lived fairly far out in the country. A couple of my friends in the neighborhood had satellite dishes, and, you know, not the little DirecTV ones, but the big old things that could be a little boat in the backyard. And then, like, my grandparents had cable, so I'd watch, like, Nickelodeon when we'd go over to their house, because we'd go over to their house, like, every Sunday. The same ones we'd spend Christmas with.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I didn't even have... So, I mean, we had, like, the 4 local channels. Well, 3, because I don't even know when we got Fox, because Fox was a fairly new network in the 80s. We definitely had ABC, CBS, and NBC, because our local... Let me see. CBS affiliate was WLTX. NBC was WIS. And ABC, I think, was WOLO. And, of course, I would remember, like, NBC was Channel 10, CBS was Channel 9, and ABC was Channel... See, this is where I'm going to mess up. Because it was always on a 5. But I think it was when it moved to cable that it moved to actual Channel 5. I think it was Channel 25. In fact, I think CBS was Channel 19 when it was just on analog TV. So I think it was 10, 19, and 25. Because UHF goes up to at least 40-something, doesn't it? Not UHF, but the old dial. This was not UHF, this was, but still.
I'm glad you can remember UHF that kind of stuff. You know what channel I can remember? 3, 6, and 10. You want to know why?
Those were probably your local affiliates.
Those were the local channels. Channel 3 played like All My Children, General Hospital,
What is that?
One Life to Live.
That's ABC, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then NBC was Channel 6.
Yeah, NBC was 10 where I lived. 10 or 11.
And then 10 was the CBS,
and
maybe.
And then we had the local public broadcasting station, too, PBS. So, I mean,
we had Channel 12, PBS.
I watched a lot of stuff on PBS, of course. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was probably my favorite. I love Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
And Sesame Street.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Every morning getting ready for school. Sesame Street.
You know what I remember? And, of course, it wouldn't have been until the 90s. But you know what I remember watching? The only thing I really remember watching getting ready for school, I used to watch Sports Center on ESPN, and I'd watch the Weather Channel. I loved the local forecast for the Weather Channel, you know, every... local on the 8s or whatever it was, and like, you know, 10:38, 10:48. You'd have the this is of course after I got cable, so this was the 90s. But those
y'all hear this in the 90s. My husband, instead of watching cartoons before school, he watched the Weather Channel.
Wait. I'm talking like 91.
You know what I was probably watching at 12 or 13?
No, tell us.
I don't know. You want to know what I was watching at?
So wait, you want to know what I was watching? Well, me too. Can you tell me?
Can you remind me of some shows that came on when I was about that age?
Well, no, hold on though. But
I don't think I watched TV a whole lot when I was 12.
Hold on though. But let me shout this out though, because I definitely do. Do you ever remember watching the Weather Channel and seeing like the local forecast they would do like every, and they'd have these. They probably are nothing by today's standards, but I love like the backgrounds they'd have and like the music they'd play. I really enjoyed that. Honey, there are a lot of people out there who are feeling this right now. This
is where my husband was talking about the privileged and non-privileged. You're talking about, you had cable.
I wasn't privileged because I had fucking cable.
You had cable at like 91, 92. You want to know when I got cable? It was like 93, 94.
It was like 2 years later. Wow.
Yes, but no.
Okay, so you never watched the local weather forecast on the Weather Channel? What's wrong
I still watch my local news. If I wanted to know if school was going to be closed, I turned it to Channel 6.
I wasn't watching the Weather Channel to see if school was closed. I was watching it because I liked the music.
Yeah, but no, I didn't watch.
And it was pleasant. And yeah, I mean, it would tell you, okay, is it going to be hot today?
Music.
How do I need to dress?
Radio.
Well, yeah, but I enjoy. It's just something you enjoy. It's like a little 90-second forecast that has some pleasant music and some interesting backgrounds to give you.
I can tell you what I was watching when I was 16 or 17.
Trust me, there are a lot of people out there who love jamming out to the.
You want to know what I was watching when I was 16 or 17?
Okay, I didn't say 16 and 17. I said.
I watched Barney.
I hated Barney.
Look.
No, see, Barney was.
I had a little sister at the time.
Watch it with. Yeah, I was a teenager and a young adult.
So we watched.
Honestly, but that's not true.
And what is it? My Big Comfy Couch and...
Now, see, the Big Comfy Couch, that's older though, right? That goes back to our time, doesn't it?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. It just feels like something that's there tangentially. It wasn't something that I ever watched regularly, but I feel like it's older. But maybe I'm mixing it up with something else. It's not something I ever watched regularly as a kid or as an adult with kids or anything else.
I mean, little kid shows. I watched Punky Brewster and Alf.
Okay, well, no, those aren't little kid shows. Those are sitcoms.
I don't care. That's what I watched growing up.
Kid shows would have been the stuff.
Rainbow Bright.
Kid shows would have been the stuff we mentioned before, like
Care
Mr.
Bears.
Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers. Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow, one of the all-time greatest television theme songs. But I always thought the show was meh. Like, I love reading and I love books, but just the show, I don't know. Probably there could have been a little bit more to it.
Take a look.
Oh yeah, fantastic soundtrack.
Reading Rainbow.
So many great theme songs in the 80s. Greatest American Hero for me is the best TV soundtrack of all time, but Reading Rainbow's right up there.
What else did I watch? There were these after-school specials. Do you remember them growing up?
Yeah, I didn't really watch them though.
I watched them.
But I remember them existing.
I mean, I can't remember
even before cable, like I said, we still had the network, so I still watched a lot of TV. There was just less variety, and so we were going to watch I already said Chips was my favorite show when I was a little kid, and then Different Strokes and Three's Company.
Different Strokes.
Even though technically I think they were off their original run, they might have been in syndication by then. They might have been the last couple of years, but Different Strokes and Three's Company, Chips, those were my favorite shows when I was really little. And then Night Court was like my favorite sitcom in the 80s. I mean, I would watch others like Cheers and whatnot, but Night Court was my jam.
Oh yeah, I used to go to bed to Cheers. And then like Three's Company,
and of
Different
course,
Strokes,
you mentioned, like Punky Brewster, Al. Remember
Small Wonder.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
I was trying to think of what I was going to call it, Alice, but I knew that's not what it was called, and I was like, wait a second, what the?
The show that taught me that a Googleplex is the one with 100 zeros after it. Or a Google is, whichever. I think they called it a Googleplex.
Small Wonder was the robot one. What was
Out of This World?
Out of This World.
I think I get those mixed up sometimes.
Yeah,
when I'm thinking back on them, as far as things that happen in the episodes, I think I get one mixed up with the other sometimes.
Out of This World is the one where her dad's an astronaut or something, and he talks to her with this crystal thing that opens up.
I don't remember watching that one as much.
Oh, that was great.
Small Wonder was
the robot
my
girl.
favorite.
Yeah,
of those two for sure.
What else was there?
Do you remember Silver Spoons?
Oh, God, I loved that show.
I like that show a lot, too. That's where Carlton got his start, Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah, I think I seen something about that. Because I think it was his birthday not too long ago. Or there was something that Facebook had announced about him, and yeah, they were going through
Facts of Life.
Yes.
Love Facts. And, No, not What's Happening. That's the wrong show.
I did watch that show.
Yeah, What's Happening was more of a 70s show, though.
And 227, The Jeffersons.
Yeah, well, Jeffersons, again, that's a 70s show, but I definitely remember watching it as a kid.
Look,
227 was an 80s show with Florence. I can't remember the actress's name.
I don't know.
Jack A was in that one, too, wasn't she?
I think so.
I think so.
I don't know. You're giving me actors or
anyway, the show I'm trying to... Nell Carter. What's the name of the show? Oh, this is killing me because that was one of my favorites when I was a kid. And Austin McKenzie's in it.
Give me character names, honey.
I can't. Look, I'm just gonna have to look up Nell Carter and see what the name of the show is.
Like I said, I watched Cheers. I watched Night Court. I watched.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all the standard shows of the time. Any of the big hit sitcoms, I watched at least
He-Man.
a little bit. Well, again, now you're going back and forth between kids programming and man.
Well, look, I'm just naming off things randomly that I watched.
Well, I already told you that I named my dog after one of She-Ra's villains. In fact, I talk about going to the movies. Sometimes my dad and I would go to the movies just us, and sometimes it'd be a family thing. But I distinctly remember going to see Santa Claus the movie, which we're going to do. That's going to be our Christmas episode on the podcast this year because it's its 40th anniversary this year. And then
and that's not the one with Tim Allen.
No, that's the Santa Claus. This is Santa Claus the movie. This is the one with Dudley Moore as the elf and John Lithgow as the evil businessman. And Dudley Moore wants to leave the North Pole and he brings the secret of flying that helps the reindeer fly and they make it into candy. But it turns out to be dangerous.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
And Santa and the homeless kid have to save the day.
Oh, great! Now I gotta go see it now.
Well, you can watch it with us later this year because that's going to be the Christmas episode for the podcast. I've been waiting to do that one, and this year is its 40th anniversary, so I'm excited. I don't think Alex and Dylan have ever even seen it at all. I never had any reason to watch it with them. I watched it a lot when I was a kid, but Never got around to watching it as an adult, so that'll be fun.
At Christmas time, I watched Miracle on 34th Street, the newer version. The older version in black and white is okay, and I'll watch it, but I don't know, maybe because it's in black and white, I'm not as big of a fan as the newer version of it, but I'll watch it. And I watched, like, The Grinch Stole Christmas, and of course it became a family tradition in the last couple of years to watch Polar Express.
Yeah. This Christmas is my favorite Christmas movie, but again, that's 2000s. I didn't exist back in the 90s. But the other movie that I distinctly remember going to see with my dad was the He-Man She-Ra movie, which is like the 5 episodes of the cartoon that introduced She-Ra, but they made it into a movie and put it in theaters. Because He-Man was one of like the big 4 toys for me, and they all had television series as well. It was He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers.
I watched G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it was He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and
Go
Star
Power
Wars, of course.
Rangers.
Which Star Wars didn't Star Wars did have some cartoon spin-offs, but obviously it's based on the movies. And then Lego was kind of like the outlier of it would complete the big 5, but it was a completely different kind of building toy. Yeah. I loved building toys too when I was a kid, though. Not just Lego. Do you remember Constructs by any chance?
No. You know, I played with Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, I didn't personally have any Lincoln Logs, but like my mother's parents, they had like Lincoln Logs when we would go to visit them, and they lived out of state, so we didn't see them nearly as much. But they had Lincoln Logs that I would play with. I also remember playing with like my grandma would keep like a drawer full of like toy food in the kitchen, so when she was cooking, I could play with the toy food. That's a core memory too. I loved playing with the toy food and stuff. Tinker Toys. I had Tinker Toys. You have Tinker Toys? They were another.
Maybe
they were another. Are you familiar with them though? They're another.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
They had like the joints that were like the thicker blocks, and they had a bunch of little small holes, and you had these long thin sticks. That you put in them.
They make a version of those. They're called something different nowadays, but yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Are they called like Connects or something now?
Well, now Connects are something different. That's a different toy.
I wasn't sure, but there is something kind of like that.
Tinker Toys may still exist.
Well, maybe that is, because I know that like in the preschoolers and kindergartners, that a lot of teachers have them in like buckets or small totes for like morning play or whatever.
Yeah, but of course, Lego was the big building toy, and then Tyco was like the Sega of Lego, is how I look at it. They had some interesting sets. Do you remember Tyco at all?
I remember Tyco trucks.
No, Tyco made building blocks too, and they were slightly different than Lego, and the minifigures were a little different.
No. They were
basically compatible with
like
each other.
Like the construction trucks and stuff.
Probably the same company. I'm not positive. And of course, then, but I did want to say Constructs. I always try to tell the kids about them because in Mega Man, there's these enemies. There are these eye enemies that move, and they look like the connectors for Constructs. Constructs would have like longer plastic pieces to build your frame out of, and they would have these pieces that had like a knob on all sides of it that would connect to. And they had figures too. They had like space figures, and they had like army figures, and like some of the space guys glowed in the dark. And they'd have like little flat panels that you would put in between the different beams to make your constructions. I remember, you remember Highway to Heaven, the Michael Landon show?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
There's an episode of Highway to Heaven where the kid had Constructs, and I was like, I got those same toys. That was so cool. But that was one of my favorites. I mean, I had so many fucking toys. Like I say, most of those shows I mentioned had toy spin-offs that were at least decent. Some were better than others. Some translated toys better than others. And of course, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the comics came out in the 80s. I think the show and the toys came out either the very end of the 80s, the very beginning of the 90s. It would have been like 88, 89, 90 by the time Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the toys and the cartoon were out. So they're classic toys.
I remember the movie.
But they were a little late. The movie was 1990, was the first live action movie. So yeah, the cartoon had to be before 89 at the latest. Yeah. I saw the first 2 Ninja Turtle movies in theaters. That was still during my movie going era.
The first movie I remember seeing in a theater is Toy Story.
That's the first movie you ever saw in a theater?
I'm not saying that's the first movie that's the first movie I ever remember.
You would have been 14. How do you not remember a movie before that? Did you just seriously never go to one before that? Which, I mean, I understand, but how could you not remember one? That's my point. You're sitting there saying, like, I might have seen it. I mean, I've been told my whole life that the first movie I went to was E.T., but that was 1982. And it came out in June, so I was 2 years old. So I don't have any memory of it. I saw it, I fell asleep. The first movie I remember going to see was Return of the Jedi, which was just a year later in May 83. That's the first movie I remember seeing. And then, I mean, I saw a ton of movies in theaters in the 80s. I saw a bunch at home on VHS, too. Honestly, I will admit, I don't remember. I remember Jedi, that's 83. I remember Santa Claus, the movie, that's 85. I remember the She-Ra movie with my dad, that's 86. I remember watching a lot of movies. As far as the ones I actually went to see in theaters, off the top of my head, I'm not... like I said, I know I did Batman 89, I did Ghostbusters 2, that's 89. We went to see Dick Tracy when Warren Beatty did the movie version of it, and we got the t-shirts for the midnight release where you paid like $25 a t-shirt, and we went to go see the movie at midnight. That would have been like 1990. I remember sitting out of the Karate Kid movies. I know I at least saw 2 in the theater. I remember that, and that's still my favorite Karate Kid movie, maybe because I saw it in theaters. I'm not sure if I saw 1. We could have. I definitely saw it a lot. It was an heavy rotation. I saw Revenge of the Nerds 2 in movie theaters. I didn't see number 1. That was on heavy rotation on VHS for us. I definitely saw 2 in movie theaters. I know I saw Young Guns 2 in theaters, and that would have been like 90, 91, maybe 92. Somewhere in that area. I don't think it was 92. That feels too late. But it is early 90s. I don't think I saw the first Young Guns. But I definitely watched it a lot because that sparked the short-lived Western craze for me and my friends. We were into like being cowboys for like 2 months right after Young Guns came out.
Wow. Yeah.
We played guns a lot, but it was more like pretending to be G.I. Joe or something like that, more modern. Cowboys wasn't really a thing for... I don't think playing cowboys was too much a thing for our generation. Unless you just grew up with a family who was really into Westerns or something. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody's experience, but it wasn't something that my friends and I did much. We'd go out and play a lot. In fact, we had this distinction. If we were playing with our toys, or if like we were playing G.I. Joe with our figures, we were playing in little. And if we went out and we were playing G.I. Joe with our toy guns and stuff, we were playing in big. So it's like, let's go play that in big.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to ask my dad, but yeah, I mean... Maybe I seen movies when I was younger, but like...
Yeah, I can believe that you just didn't go to the movies, but the idea that I just don't remember any movies before I was 14, that seems a little specious. It's like,
yeah, like,
I doing a lot of drugs as an adolescent?
I don't recall... Okay, so...
Or do a lot of drugs afterwards and just erase those memories.
I don't recall going to the movies before seeing Toy Story. Now, mind you...
I did not see Toy Story in theaters.
The closest movie theater to us was a good 25, 30 minutes away. So, and between...
It's probably like 15 minutes to the closest movie theater where I live.
And between Dad's work schedule... And me being at the doctor's all the time.
I can buy that you just didn't go to the movies, but you said, like, I just don't remember. And I'm like, okay, I don't remember going to see E.T., but I've been told I was there. But I remember Jedi a year later. I have some memories before I was 14.
Yeah, no. I mean, I remember a lot of things from before I was 14,
okay, really
but
quick,
no, I don't recall ever going to the movies.
This isn't specific to growing up in the 80s and 90s, but it's still part of our... What's your earliest memory?
My earliest
memory? That you're confident this was a real memory.
Oh, 100%. I was like 5, 6 years old.
What's the memory? I'm 5.
Oh,
that's your memory? I mean,
I recall leaving New Jersey and being in the vehicle, going and heading to New Jersey and stopping at the rest areas and the things, and my brother sleeping on the floorboard of the car and me on the back seat with the dog and my mom and my sister in the front of the car. But yeah, that's the earliest memory I have.
I have this photograph. I'm standing up by the window in our living room, and I'm standing. I'd have to look at the picture again, but I guess I'm somewhere between 1 and 2. And in my mind, I have that memory of standing by that window and looking around, but I don't know if that's a real memory or if I just have that memory because I have that photograph. Mm-hmm. The earliest memory I do have, though, is well, actually, it wasn't even our living room at that time because, we had that one spare bedroom that we had moved the wall back and made it into the living room. But when I was a kid, it was still a bedroom. And so the picture of me at that window is when it was still a bedroom. My earliest memory was actually standing in that bedroom with my mom when I was 2. And I was talking about how a lot of kids who are 2 can't say 3. They say fwee, but I can say 3. That's my earliest memory.
Wow. Yeah. I remember my first Christmas in Utah and my grandparents... They had sent Christmas presents, and it was a toy I don't know if you remember. You remember those like cloth type toy storage bin looking things, and they were in the shapes of animals and stuff with like plastic poles to hold them up.
No, not specifically, but I can.
This was like a yellow.
I can comprehend that.
It kind of looked like a giraffe, but it was just all yellow. I don't remember having spots on it at all, like a giraffe does. And that's the year I got Teddy Ruxpin. My grandparents sent Teddy Ruxpin to me.
I never had a Teddy Ruxpin. There was one toy that I never had that I did want at least at one time, but then I was told you couldn't just put any tape you wanted into it. That would only respond to its own tapes. And I don't know if that was true or not, but once I was told that, I didn't want it anymore because I want to be able to put like rock and roll tapes and stuff in.
Well, I have a Teddy Ruxpin on the shelf. I don't think it's from 1985, but
it's the newer one too. Because
the newer version.
That was the re-release in like 2007. I think I got that for you for Christmas. Mm-hmm. So we could try it out for sure, but it wouldn't necessarily tell us whether or not the old one would have done it.
I'd still like to, not saying there's anything wrong with the newer version, but I'd still like to have an original version.
For some reason, Teddy Ruxpin reminds me of glowworms. You have glowworm?
Oh, God, yes.
I love glowworm.
But I need Teddy Ruxpin and Grubby. Grubby more probably would remind you of
glowworm. That might be why, but they were also just kids' toys at the time. And I mean, glowworms, it glowed, but did it sing too? Did it have like some of it? I think maybe there was a version of
maybe a newer,
because I had two or three different glowworms.
I had the original one, and it was so hard to squeeze those things to make them glow. Did you have a friend called
Sweet Pea, or was that a different thing?
I don't think glowworm did, but maybe.
I had like a doll, stuffed animal type thing when I was a kid. Oh, also, Give Me a Break was the Nell Carter show. Do you remember?
Oh, yes!
I could not remember the name of it, but yeah, I looked it up, and then we were talking about other stuff, so. I want to say, though, that I know I had a stuffed animal called Sweet. Oh, yeah. Show me the flower. That's what I want. Kids' toy. Let's look that up.
Sweet Pea Kids' toy.
This is newer stuff. I should have been more specific. Oh, look. There's the 3 Ps that Alex has.
You should have looked up Sweet Pea.
Vintage
toy
toys.
From 80s or 90s.
Yeah, they're showing me like peas. Like peas, and like literally peas in a pod. But I think it was part of the glowworm series, because I had 3 or 4 different glowworms, but maybe it was different. But actually, now I'm wondering if this was some other series of plush toys, because I feel like there were multiple food-related ones. Maybe they were even like Green Giant, maybe put out a line of stuffed toys.
Could be. I don't know.
I had a lot of stuffed animals, too. I had a lot of toys, period.
Not me.
I was an only child, too. That's another different experience you and I probably had. You had siblings. I didn't.
All right. I have 1, 2. I have 3 siblings.
Yeah, you have 3 siblings together.
I have 3 siblings.
There's 4 of you together.
Oh, yeah, if you put all 4 of us together, yeah.
When you were a kid in the 80s.
When I grew up,
because you
I just had
considered
2.
the younger sibling.
I know.
But you wouldn't count yourself as a sibling if you were counting. You see, when you're saying...
no.
So you were right to say you had 3, yeah. And there were 4 of you total.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 kids growing up. Yeah, I didn't have any siblings. I mean, I had, friends in the neighborhood. I had a weird situation, too, because I went to private school. And most of my friends in the neighborhood went to public school. I had some friends that went to private school with me for a while, and then they moved on to public school. And eventually I went to the same public school. But so I had like a friend group at school, and then my neighborhood friend group, too. So that was interesting.
I only ever went to public school.
They didn't intermix too much. Like occasionally my friends a friend from the neighborhood might come to school for an event, like when we had the Halloween carnival or something. And occasionally friends from school would like come spend the night, but it wasn't that common. So it was pretty much 2 different friend groups.
See, you went, so you went to private school, and then you went to public school.
I did.
And what grade did you start public school?
Very end of 7th grade.
So basically middle school.
My first full year was 8th grade, yeah.
So, in just middle schools, how many middle schools did you go to?
Well, including the private school went all the way from
No, I'm not counting private, just the public schools.
The private school went all the way from pre-K through, graduation. It was complete.
Just in public schools, how many public middle schools did you go to? Not elementary, not high school, just middle schools.
If you're not going to count the private school, then just the one. Just Manchester. Because remember when I was...
because Furman was a high school.
Manchester was originally... that's where my friends went, and I went to the public school. and it was an elementary school, but it went through 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then before I started going there, I remember my friends got excited because they changed it to just a middle school, so they lopped off the lower grades, and it was just, I guess, 6th through 8th, or whatever, or 5th through 8th, or wherever they capped it. And then I started going there in 7th grade. It was still a middle school, and then Furman was the high school that I went to, and then they changed that while we lived there, and Furman became a middle school, and Manchester became an elementary school, and they built new high schools.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I went to the private school, which could have been my whole. I mean, technically, I went to preschool, because preschool comes before kindergarten.
Yes.
Technically, I went to preschool, like a church school. It was.
So you've only gone to 3 schools.
I mean, technically, I went to preschool at the church school, then I went to the private school, then I went to Manchester, then I went to Furman for high school, and then I went to like an alternative school for like 6 months.
Okay, so not counting preschool, you've been to 4 schools total.
Sure. Yeah. Three legitimate schools.
Okay,
the other ones I did more like a study at home kind of thing.
Okay.
Because I didn't like going to school, so I said, "Hey, can I just do this work at home?"
Okay, so let's say 4 or 5 schools total, whether it was however.
And it was like for from kindergarten through 7th grade was all one school. Although here's the thing, like the private school was technically in a different town. It was like 45 or 50 minutes away from where I lived, and they had like a branch 5 minutes down the road from my house.
Yeah.
And it was kindergarten through 5th grade. But after my 1st grade, because like the church, and then across the street from that was the church where I went to preschool, and they had like leased the building from the church or whatever, and the church took it back from them, and they decided to close, whatever reason, they stopped having the branch. So then starting 2nd grade, I had to go to the main campus, but still, it was still part of it. It was still technically one school experience. And then, I mean, Manchester and Furman were 2 different schools, but they felt like just parts of the same school, so it was pretty unified experience. It was basically just like 2 school systems.
So let's see, just for elementary now, an elementary school, and my preschool was part of the elementary school. So I went to 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on, let's see. Franklin, Shady Lane, Parkview. Okay, I went to 4 different elementary schools, and that's just going from pre-K to 6th grade, because the elementary schools went to 6th grade. So I went to 4 different schools during my elementary time. Then I didn't go to a middle school because we just had elementary schools and high schools. So then I went to 1, 2, 3 different high schools. I went to one school in New Jersey for my 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade years.
Yeah, but how much of that is an effect too? Because you probably moved more than I did. It wasn't just the basic circumstance you moved, so then you went to a different school. Or there are other reasons that you went to different schools.
Oh, yeah, no.
So what was school like for you? Because, like, the private school was different from the public schools, too, as far as, like, conventions of school. But, I mean, it was still pretty much normal. And then, like I said, we had all the grades there in a fairly, I mean, it really wasn't that big of a campus, because I guess it wasn't that big of a student body because it was a private school. But, like, we didn't have any lockers. There were no lockers at the private school. I didn't see lockers until I went to public school. Pretty much anything else I could think of. Well, actually, we didn't even have a cafeteria for the first. I want to say it was 6th grade by the time they finally. We had like what they called a canteen, where you could buy, like, you get a pizza or that kind of stuff. But then it was delivered to the classroom. We always ate lunch in class, and I always just brought my lunch. And we didn't actually even have a cafeteria for lunch until like 6th grade. And at that time, it was like a local restaurant and catering company was running the canteen. So it was really good food. So I remember I would eat the fried chicken, the burgers, the subs were really good. And then the days that it wasn't one of those, they always had French fries, like the crinkle cut French fries. Yeah. So I would just get like a few trays of those. But yeah, we didn't have an actual lunch room or anything until 6th grade. And I rode the bus to school because it was like 45 minutes from my house.
When that was your lunchroom, just lunchroom / cafeteria, or was it lunchroom / your gymnasium?
No, once we actually had a cafeteria, they repurposed one of the buildings. I don't know what it was before that. I guess it was other classes or something. No, we had a gym too, but the gym was the gym. And then when I went to public school, they had a dedicated cafeteria too. And Manchester had a cafeteria, and everybody went to the cafeteria to eat. I mean, you could buy food or you could bring your own food. And then that was the middle school. And then the high school, Furman, they had a cafeteria where you could do the same thing. But they also had a canteen that would sell like honey buns, chips, and sodas and stuff.
Yeah.
And you could just hang out outside at lunch. And I sat down in the cafeteria exactly one time, and it was to talk to a girl. That's the only time. Well, I mean, I think if there was some other reason, like I know when we came for like registration, that's where they had everything set up, was in the cafeteria. So I might have been in the cafeteria for some other reason at one point, but I do remember being in there one other time because I remember my friend Duran was there and his girlfriend was like across from me, and that was a different time. But I don't think I was eating. I don't know what we were doing in there. I don't know if we were waiting for the bus or what. But then the only other time I remember going in is because there was a girl that wanted to talk to me, so I went in there to talk to her. Otherwise, I just went to the canteen. But like I said, it wasn't until that's when I started seeing lockers for the first time. We never had lockers at the private school. All right, we've kind of gotten off the topic of 80s and 90s. We talked a little more about our personal.
Well, we talked about 80s and 90s in school, what school was like in 80s and 90s.
I hope this will be an ongoing series, even if we don't spin it off into its own pod. We can always come back and do some episodes, once, maybe not once a month, because we only do an episode bi-monthly, but we could drop in some episodes or some Patreon exclusives or something. I definitely want to continue with this, but I thought we would wrap this episode up with this quiz I found. And, hold on. Where'd it go? Hold on 1 second. There we go. Growing Up in the 80s by Allison Cooper on How Stuff Works. So, I could send it to you, or we could just... Why don't I'll send it to you? How about that?
Okay. How are you sending it?
I'm just going to message it to you. There you go. It's sent. I did not vet this quiz ahead of time, so it might be kind of silly or something, but I thought it'd be fun. We like to do this kind of stuff on the podcast. So if we continue this series too, we'll probably do stuff like this. We might build it into every week. I see some of these things online nowadays. So only people who grew up in the 80s will remember this stuff, and it's just the most ridiculous collection of stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay. But then again, the state of online writing is horrendous. So have you gotten the quiz?
I do.
All right. Are you ready to start with me?
Is your first question whose name?
Whose name was printed on the rear of every Cabbage Patch Kid? I did not have a Cabbage Patch Kid. I don't think they're F.A.O. Schwartz. Is it Francis Williams? Because, a lady invented them, right? Well, Corey could be a woman's name. Xavier's definitely not. Well, I'm an idiot. It was Xavier. I saw the name Xavier Roberts. I'm like, that sounds familiar, but I thought a woman invented Cabbage Patch Kids.
Who did you put?
I guessed Francis.
Yeah, so did I.
But then again, I never had a Cabbage Patch Kid, so... I like Garbage Pail Kids better than Cabbage Patch Kids. Alright, next up. Pulitzer Prize-winning cartoonist Art Spiegelman collaborated on this 80s craze. Pet rocks, Garbage Pail Kids, breakdancing, backwards hats. Well, if they're a cartoonist, I'm going to guess maybe it's Garbage Pail Kids.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because there's not much artwork in those other things.
Woohoo!
There's an art to breakdancing, but it's, there's a graffiti element to hip-hop culture, but yeah, it was Garbage Pail Kids. The things that were sort of a parody of Cabbage Patch Kids. I loved Garbage Pail Kids when I was a kid. One of my favorite collectibles. In which video game did the iconic Mario first appear? Well, that's obvious. It's not Frogger, Asteroids, or Duck Hunt. It's Donkey Kong.
Yeah. I did not know that until I think
Did you never play Donkey Kong?
Not until I was much older.
You never went to an arcade when you were a kid, or a pizza restaurant that had an arcade game in it?
Yeah, but I don't think I ever played Donkey Kong. I don't think I was more big into that stuff.
Yeah, to be fair, I played more Pac-Man at the arcade than Donkey Kong, but...
Like, video game type stuff, I don't recall playing any of that until...
There's something we had growing up in the 80s and 90s that you don't really have now, arcades.
Yeah, unless, like, us or my grandparents, I don't know who got the Nintendo, the original Nintendo first. That's the first time I think I ever heard of Mario.
I remember we actually used to rent the Nintendo before I actually owned it, because we also had video rental stores when we were kids.
Uh-huh.
movies, but then eventually you could rent video games, and you could, at some of them at different times, you could rent the whole system. So I actually got to play that. I played the Nintendo, renting that before I used to rent the Sega Genesis sometimes before I got one. I rented the Super Nintendo before I actually owned it. That was really cool. It was always fun to rent a new system.
Now, I don't remember if it was in Lumberton or if it was another con that me and Lexi did, but it was one that had a silent auction. Now, there, at that place, there was an arcade. You paid like $10 to get in, and it gave you unlimited.
Yeah, I mean, there's still arcades.
Play for the arcade
there's
and stuff.
Both arcades or like adult arcades, and there's still arcades, but they're not prevalent like they were when we were kids.
Go to Dave & Buster's.
Like even my local mall had an arcade, and you know how tiny my local mall was. Aladdin's Castle was the name before. I even had a birthday. I had a birthday there one year.
Now, Dave & Buster's, they remind me.
Yeah, but that's just adult Chuck E. Cheese.
It reminds me.
It's not a real arcade.
No, it doesn't remind me so much of Chuck E. Cheese. It reminds me more of Adventure Landing. Like the arcade there.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me. Just bigger.
But that's like a place that had like go-karts and mini golf and stuff. It's like more like a fun park.
Yeah. Sorry, insulin pump be going off.
Alright, back to the quiz, too. Which 80s TV theme song began with these lyrics? I bet we've been together for 1,000,000 years. Pardon the singing, but I bet we'll be together for It's Family Ties. I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil that one. It's Family Ties. What would we do, babe, without us? I have no idea what the Newhart theme was. Growing Pains was... Oh, God, what was Growing Pains? I watched Growing Pains a lot. I can't remember. And Full House, everybody remembers that. Whatever happened to predictability?
Making your way in the world today takes every...
That's Cheers. Oh, that was the next question. I didn't know what I thought you were just quoting theme songs you remembered. Another one of the most iconic theme songs. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your troubles sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
There's a time for love and a time for living.
Is that all this is? I know what that is too.
So do I.
That's Who's the Boss? Punk WKRP in Cincinnati. That wasn't an '80s show, was it? I mean,
yes.
I watched it in the '80s, but not. I watched it on like or in like the late '80s, early '90s on cable and in syndication. I didn't watch it in prime time. I think that was a '70s sitcom.
Show me that smile again.
That's Growing Pains.
Thanks, honey. That was the next question.
Show me that we're at it. Yeah, that's Growing Pain. We're nowhere near the end.
Which cereal has kid tested, mother approved?
You know, I never ate this cereal. It's Kix, of course.
Yeah. I've eaten every cereal on this list.
Special K is good. Wheaties, they never looked good.
They're good. They're better than freaking Special K.
Cheerios are fine. Special K is like Rice Krispies and flakes. Special K is awesome.
Who said, "Follow my nose"?
Cereal mascots. Lucky the Leprechaun, Sonny the Cuckoo Bird, Toucan Sam, or Count Chalk. It's gotta be Toucan Sam with that big schnoz.
Yes,
the Fruit Loops mascot. What year? I don't know what year the last season of Happy Days was. I'm gonna guess 82 because it was 84. Happy Days, that's another show.
Can you let me answer the question before you be...
I figured once you heard what I was guessing, you were gonna take your guess. Not like you knew it. I love Happy Days too, but again, I didn't really watch it too much when it was on its real run. I saw it way more in syndication.
What 1950s TV mom voiced Nanny on the 1980s version of Muppet Babies?
Muppet Babies. That was one of my all-time favorite Saturday morning cartoons. You like Muppet Babies? Mm-hmm. I mean, Muppet Babies... Flintstone Kids.
I got that one wrong.
Muppet
Flintstone
Babies,
Kids.
A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Those are some of Of course, later on, Captain N, The Game Master, but that's like 89. And of course, I love like the old school ones, like Underdog, and then all the cartoons that were on Rocky and Bullwinkle, like Tennessee Tuxedo, and Simon and Mr. Peabody, Dudley Do-Right. It's Barbara Billingsley, is it not? I lost the question.
Yes.
The mom from Leave It to Beaver.
Okay, which commercial mascots got so popular, they had their own primetime special. The California Raisins.
Yeah. I love the California Raisins. Little claymation raisins singing Motown songs. Come on.
Oh my God, I can't read the question because I got some...
This is actually funny because you've mixed up this relationship a half a dozen times lately.
What is the relationship between...
He-Man and She-Ra?
They're boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's not even an option. They're brother and sister.
They're husband and wife.
That's not an option either.
They're a divorced couple.
There's no divorce in the land of Eternia.
I have this thing on my freaking screen, and I can't get rid of it, and it won't go away, and it's messing with my...
I'm sorry.
It says style at a steal.
It's an ad.
Yeah, well, it's not giving me an X or anything on here to get rid of it. Or if it is, I can't see it.
Oh yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Wait. That's so weird, because it disappears. Oh. I've never seen it. It's going to disappear with the next one.
Okay.
I think you should be okay with the next one. It seems like it's going away, but yeah, that's annoying. We didn't have annoying ads on the phone when we were kids. Could you imagine picking up a corded phone and there's an ad on it? I just want the keypad. You got to see an ad before you can type it in, or you can do the rotary dial. Did you have a rotary phone?
Is that the one where you had to? Yeah. Yes.
I started out with those, and then eventually we got touch tone phones.
Oh my God! And cordless phones, you could pick up truck drivers' conversations and stuff.
Who are the twins in the Sweet Valley High? I never watched Sweet Valley High. Were you a fan of that? Well, good. Tell me the answer, because I don't know it.
If I'm
a crib.
Correct. It's Elizabeth and Jessica.
Good.
I am. Woo woo.
Who said GNO News is good news?
I don't know.
Okay, I never heard of Griddle Gorilla. I've heard of Magilla Gorilla. I've heard of Grape Ape. Did Grape Ape say that? I don't think he would have. It wasn't Kermit. Who is Gary GNU? Or Gary New is how that should be pronounced. But I'm going to go with Gary. That made the most sense.
Correct.
A newscaster on the Great Space Coaster. I'm not familiar with that.
Me neither.
Did you know? Okay. Apparently there was somebody named... That's not a show I was familiar with.
Which? What?
The following was not an 8 is enough. I never watched 8 is enough. Did you? I guessed incorrectly, but... Did you watch 8 is enough?
Maybe.
I don't think I did.
It was Robert.
I saw that, because I incorrectly guessed Jiminy. Which of the following movies was not directed by John Hughes, legendary director of Home Alone, The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Actually, did he direct Home Alone? He may have just... I think he wrote Home Alone.
Curly Sue, maybe?
It definitely wasn't The Breakfast Club or Pretty in Pink. He definitely directed those. I don't know if he directed Uncle Buck or Curly Sue. I've seen them both. I think...
I've seen both, too.
I want to say Curly Sue...
I've seen all of these.
I want to say Curly Sue might have been... what's his name from Taxi?
It's not Wait, which of the following movies was not directed?
By John Hughes, yeah. Is what it's asking.
I'll tell you, Curly Sue is not the correct answer.
Then I guess it's Uncle Buck. Oh, he didn't direct Pretty in Pink. He wrote Pretty in Pink, but didn't direct it. That's why I was thrown off.
That's why I was like, wait a second. You just told me that
he wrote Pretty in Pink. Yeah, because he was a writer and director, and he directed some of his movies, but some of them he just wrote. Okay, who was not... Look, I'm going to admit it. I was a New Kids on the Block fan. I'm pretty sure there was no Robbie.
Yeah. Da, 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 da.
I still have New Kids on the Block CDs up on the CD rack over there. Yeah, I still have physical media here in the office. I have a wall full of CDs.
What's Donkey Kong's weapon of choice?
What does he throw at Mario? Or Jumpman, as he was known back then.
Barrels?
Yep. What fruit appears on the first level of Pac-Man? The only fruit that appears in Pac-Man, as far as I know, yeah. What was the original name of the Rubik's Cube? Square box. I'm not saying that's the answer, but that's funny.
No, it's a magic cube.
The new square box.
It's a magic cube.
Have you ever solved Rubik's Cube?
Nope.
Me neither. My cousin's friend could solve one, but that's the only person I ever knew who could solve them. I'm sure I could look up a tutorial online now or something.
This person was not an original MTV video jockey.
Pretty sure Martha Quinn and Nina Blackwood were. I don't recognize the Robbie Sanders and J.J. Jackson. And they definitely were VJs. So I'm going to guess J.J. Jackson. I'm going to guess incorrectly. But I was right about the other two.
It was Robbie.
The original 5 were Nina Blackwood, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, and Martha Quinn. J.J. Jackson was the 5th.
What was the falling green goop on Nickelodeon called?
Slime. I remember on one episode, you can't do this on television. It was actually a Canadian series that they just aired on Nickelodeon. It wasn't a Nickelodeon original show. That's where the slime debuted. It's not from Double Dare originally or anything else on Nick. That's where we saw it first. And I remember they mentioned what it was made out of in one of the episodes. And it was like gelatin and a couple different things and Greek food. And
if you get the next question wrong, I'm going to slap you.
And we mixed it up at home. And this doesn't look like slime. And then we tossed it off the porch. And then it does kind of look like slime. Which long-run Nickelodeon show featured a trivia contest? I just mentioned it. It's Double Dare. Love Double Dare.
I was going to say, if you get it wrong, I'm going to beat your butt.
And that's where the slime lineage passed on to.
Where was Al from?
Alf, one of my favorite sitcoms in the 80s.
And if you don't know that, we'll slap you.
He's from Melmac, of course. I used to watch the cartoon version of Alf, too, that came out after the sitcom. That was good, too. That actually, took place on Melmac. Which of the following was not a nickname from the A-Team? Well, let's see. Well, Hannibal was his real name, wasn't it? Oh, man. Okay, Hannibal was not a nickname. That was actually his... Well, maybe they used code names. I don't remember the A-Team all that well. Maybe everybody used code names. I remember Murdoch was my favorite because he was the crazy one. Then Face, and then Mr. T was B.A. Baracus, Badass Baracus. But I thought Hannibal was just his name. But I guess it could have been a code name since they were technically outlaws. Future movies... Oh, I know Cowboy Curtis. Do you know who that was?
Oh, yeah, he's a black dude. So I was...
All these fellas are black dudes.
He was
Fishburne. He was the cowboy on... Yeah, it's Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, thanks for giving me that answer.
I figured we needed to move on from that one. Oh, Ecto Cooler from High C was fucking fantastic when I was a kid. They came back out with it in 2016 when they did the Ghostbusters reboot.
Wasn't it lime?
No, it was orange.
Ecto Cooler was the orange High C
It
flavor?
might have looked green, but it tasted orange. The package might have been green, but I think the drink... And it was fantastic when I was a kid. When they came back out with it in 2016, it didn't taste the same. Not to me, anyway. Who was not from the Huxtable Show? Well, that's easy.
Rhonda.
Guess everybody remembers Vanessa, Theo, and Rudy. I don't know. How long is this quiz? It said it was a 3-minute quiz.
Yeah, I think Rhonda passed.
What TV show
Rudy passed away recently.
Theo did.
Oh, was it Theo? Yeah, I knew one of them.
From Jamal Warner. He just passed away earlier this year. It just within the last month or so.
I wonder what that could
TV
be.
show featured a robotic... We mentioned that earlier. Small Wonder. Perfect Strangers. That was another one of my favorite sitcoms.
I got a 25 out of 30.
Yeah. See, Perfect Strangers was on the list, too. That's another one of my favorite sitcoms of the 80s.
Yeah, I love that show.
That was part of that ABC block.
Oh, God, yeah, I watched that. And, My Two Dads.
My Two Dads, that wasn't ABC. That might have been CBS.
I don't know what that was. Family Matters.
Family Matters was part of the ABC block that, like I said, would eventually...
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF, yeah. I got 24 out of 30. What did you get?
25 out of 30.
Yeah, you got one that I didn't. Well, we both did a great job.
Yeah, not too bad.
And I hope you all thought we did a great job on this podcast. Let us know if you like this, because I'd like to come back and do some more of this. Like, we can get into more topic-specific stuff, or we can just do some freewheeling episodes like this. But I've long wanted to do a podcast talking about the stuff I grew up with. I share it with Lexi and Dylan somewhat, but they don't have the same frame of reference, so it's nice to talk to somebody else from that generation. So,
yeah.
Thank you for hanging out on the podcast with us this week, Casey. I hope we will hear more from you both on these types of episodes and on the other episodes we have upcoming. And thank you all for listening this week. Again, remember, we're hosting our first ever Comic-Con on November 16th in Clemmons, North Carolina at the Village Inn from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I tell you, every time I do this ad, I always want to say 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm like, that ain't right. But anyway,
if people start showing up at 5 a.m., we got issues. Free
admission, lots of great vendors. Come out, spend your money on them. We hope to see you there and have a really good time. And we hope that you will come back next time when the conversation will continue. But until then, I will continue to be Matty.
Casey.
And this is Lex-see Concluded. Casey just hit her foot. Bye. Peace. See ya.